Hello. I got my cup of milk. See that in there? Yeah. See? Oh, I just spilled some. Oh, what the fuck? It's okay. Guess there's only one thing left to do now that I spilled my milk. I'm kidding. It's just gonna sit there. I'll clean it up later. I'm a napkin. How we doing? We got another one coming at you. I if anybody presents you with any sort of like ultimatum or it's this or that, right? Binary decision, right? Absolutes like this, that, the other, whatever. Like this, like Morpheus in the Matrix, right? I'm not saying it's always the best thing to do, but mentally you need to be ready to take both of those pills. Take that red and that blue pill, crush them up, make some purple powder, and snort that shit. It's my way or the highway. But yeah, no, seriously, take be comfortable taking the purple pill. It's just a funny way of saying be comfortable taking neither or be comfortable taking both. Really what it's saying is be okay with taking the route that hasn't even been, that's not an option. Not just because it's not because it isn't really an option. It's because the person presenting the options to you is only giving you this or that. And look, it may be in a certain case it's the best option to take the red pill. Maybe it's the best option to take the blue. But you have to be mentally ready to take the purple. Take them both at the same time. Take neither, I don't know. But you have to be ready to snort that purple powder. If you go through life and you only choose from the options of the things that are presented to you, this or that. Not saying that it was originally designed this way, but the ways in which society, the ways in which things are set up now, you're either gonna end up at like some 9-to-5 desk job doing filling another role that needs to be filled, or you're going to end up in a situation where you think you've broken out or you think you've really done something for yourself, but you're doing this, you're doing the same thing as somebody working a 9-to-5 selling insurance. You might as well be. You just have more money, but you're right where you need to be. You're right in the position you're supposed to be because you did exactly what you were presented to do. Or you took exactly the you went exactly along with the options that you were presented with, and maybe you got a little lucky, or maybe you chose things that led to this outcome, right? But just because you made a bunch of money or did this or that, right? It's really easy to get to a position where you think you really made it or that you've broken out of the matrix. you don't. There's no amount of you can't exist in it and then say I've broken out of it if you're still living in it. Now you can be in it and ascend while in it and then eventually out, right? But you can't you can't like be in it. Like you're just like, I'm talking a little too quick here, but you can't exist in the matrix and claim at the same time that you've broken out of it. And I'm a little hesitant to be like, oh, we all live in the Matrix, but it's a good analogy, and there's a reason the movie's a good film and why it stands the test of time, and it honestly gets probably more relevant as time goes on. as technology gets, more invasive or whatever. But I'm not here to talk about the Matrix necessarily, at least the movie. But and see, and I'll break this down very acutely with what people believe to be breaking, because obviously nobody, everyone understands taking the blue pill is just like being a normie, or like, just, you know doing exactly those are the blue pillars are the people who put their seatbelt on as soon as they sit down on the plane, right? We all understand that that's a lot of people. I've done that before too. Okay, now I sit down and I put the seatbelt on and I don't buckle it, but I put it around my lap and I make it look like it's buckled. So the flight attendant just goes, she peeks in the aisle, she goes, okay. She keeps walking, when they come to check. That's because I never take the blue pill. I've broken out of the matrix. So I never put my seatbelt on because I'm woke to the mind virus. I'm fucking around. But uh, but yeah, let's break it down. In the ways in which they think taking the red pill is getting out of the matrix, right? But here's the big problem with the red pill. And I used to be a big red pillar. Like, I read like Rational Male, and and I was never big into. I never really. Doesn't matter. I don't need to make it so specific about me, but I was never big into like most of the red pill guys. Like, I understood they were mainly doing it for clout and money, even for themselves. But like, it's not to say that I disagreed with much of what they were saying. But like classic Patrice O'Neill, for sure. That's like the red pill before the red pill existed. Yeah, Rational Male, and like just a couple other things that float around the internet. And not to say that they're necessarily that their descriptions are false, but that their diagnosis just kind of leads you right back to where you started, but just for actually further ingrained into the system, just succeeding better in it, so then you can try to like look down on the people who are in the positions that you were just in and be like, oh, those are like beta cucks. But all you're doing is playing exactly back into the same system that was fucking you over before. Now you're on a more even playing field with it, or you're maybe getting a little bit more out of it, but you're still subject to it. Oh, by all means, you're still subject to all the same rules. So to say that you're out of the system, I mean, no, you're not. You've just put yourself into a better position, right? So like let's walk it back again. You take the red pill, right? Now, let me reset here. Before you take the red pill, right? It's like, oh, why can't I get, it's pretty much dudes being like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get girls to talk to me, or I'm gonna, you know, get interest from women by just being nice to them. And now everyone understands that that doesn't do anything. That's old news, right? So somebody will take the red pill. Okay, you take the red pill. Great. Now you realize, okay, women don't really care about that. Cool, right? And you do all these things. You like, you sign up for Hustlers University, or you like, you you start like ego lifting or whatever it is. Like you become like this the that's what it is, like the alpha male. Oh yeah, you become the alpha giga chad, right? Who just is super nonchalant and doesn't care, and thinks women are just fucking stupid, and then because of that you tend to attract, because you don't care about it anymore. Spoiler. um that then attracts it, because that is a general rule of life, which is that the moment you stop really giving a damn about something, or you stop like trying to drag it into your life, the moment you let go and just allow things to be what they are, that's like when they enter. It's like if you're trying to feed like a pigeon or a bird in the park. You can't take the food and like run at the bird with food and be like, eat this, eat that. Like you have to sit still, and you have to just let it let it sit there and let the birds come and be, let them be birds. Let them be birds and do their thing and figure it out. And you just stay there, and you just enjoy. Go look at the trees, do your thing, and have that there for whenever they're ready to come and eat. Right? I'm not saying necessarily just apply that to women necessarily, but just life in general. Life in general. Obviously, women is just such a it's such a uniting and common pursuit that every man will pretty much default to that. But that's every pursuit, whether it's career or you know passions or just people in general. It doesn't have to be other women or whatever. Um, but yeah, you take the red pill and then you you do that, and all you're doing is that you're feigning not caring. You're just pretending not to care, you're reading books and you're listening to podcasts and doing whatever God knows what, wearing leather jackets or something, or wearing sunglasses inside to then be like, um, to be like, start smoking cigars. Oh my gosh, it's nothing against cigars, but like I was literally just saying, oh my gosh, the thought of somebody smoking a cigar just because they saw like Andrew Tate smoking a cigar, and then them being like, okay, I need to smoke cigars too. Oh my goodness. I'm broken out the Matrix. I'm top G. I got this log in my mouth because another dude did it. That's sus. It's kind of sus. Um, no, but you take the red pill, and then you kind of like pretend to stop caring. You become like this different person who's like more fixated on his own goals, which is just like getting money or being successful, like career stuff, everything. But in the back of your mind, and if you're honest, you can reflect back on this, or at least realize that like you're doing this all because it stemmed from a place of, I don't know how to get this, which being women, right? And then you take the red pill. Now so I gotta stop pursuing that, like actively, with like making it my only thing, right? My only like pursuit, and then pursuing other things to let it then come to my life, which, but in a general sense, is a good rule. But the psychology of the red pill alpha male of the red pilled alpha male Chad is, it's like they knew this all along. They began the red pill endeavor as a scheme, a plot to get the thing that they couldn't get back when they were still sucking on the blue pill, right? It's just another scheme and strategy. It's just another ploy to get a woman's attention, right? To gain entry into the pink palace. That's and if that's really what it's about, and any red pill guy who's honest about that will recognize that, then you're just feeding back into the same system that feminized you from the jump. Because before, you were trying to get, it's like, oh, okay, I have to attract women, I gotta be even if you don't consciously acknowledge this, you're like, oh, I have to be more like them. So I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna be kind. I'm gonna be sweet, and I'm gonna say nice things, and I'm gonna be emotional, and I'm gonna wear my heart on my sleeve. I mean, good luck. Good luck. And look, lightning can strike, man. It can happen. I'm not saying it's impossible, but hey, whatever. I'm not gonna say it's this or that. I'm not gonna do the thing I'm just talking against. Um, but we're talking generalities here or whatever, general rules. But that's where you start being, I'm not able to get, so I'm gonna be more like women, right? That's your bitch made. You're like, you've been feminized by society that's tricked you into thinking, I just want a guy who's nice. That's what you'll hear that, and it's like, no, they don't. It's wrong. That's part of it. Being kind is part of it. Yeah, but that's like a symptom of a much greater endeavor that needs to be taken on individually as a man, not at the not by the authority of any woman in your life, not even your mother, and not even your mama. But but yeah, so you kind of look at that notion and you go, okay, I don't really, I it's not working. Society's kind of lied to me. And by the way, that's like the first stage of like the filtering process that the society that's now been this now feminized society is now um, has now implemented. That's the first stage of filtering. Okay, are you a guy? Are you are you good? It sounds wrong, but it's right. It's like, are you going to listen? This is like from the perspective of women. Are you going to listen to solely just what comes out my mouth? Not to say that women never tell the truth or can't tell the truth. I'm not saying that, but like, are you going to listen to everything that just I say and then you're just going to do it? So I say this and then you just do it. No, take now scale that up in terms of like actually building something with somebody. Women don't want that. They don't. They don't. And if they do, they're sick. Nobody, and a lot of people don't, and especially women, especially when it comes to dating, they don't want um, uh, to be able to just like tell their partner what to do, and then they're just like, oh, okay, yeah. Like no, they don't want to. They want you waiting around to be told what to do. There's nothing. There's nothing. There's nothing redeeming about that at all. It's not going to go anywhere. So if you're then trying to attract women by doing what they say, what they vocalize, which I just want a nice guy, I just want a guy who like who will care and put in the effort. That's part of it, but it has to be channeled the right way and it has to be righteous because what's much more important is why are you doing those things? Why are you being so nice? What do you want? Why are you being so kind? Where is it coming from? Because the blue pillars, the red pillars, they all want the same thing. That's why I'm saying they're both lumped into the same system. They're all doing it for the same reason. They live under the system of the feminized culture, the culture that is the temple of the pink palace that has been running the culture. And look, that's been running civilization for a while. All right, probably since the beginning of time, to be quite honest. And if you read scripture at all, you know it's definitely true. But we live in a culture now that has really it's it's given women the invitation and the nod of approval to go ahead to say not only do you have the power to do this, but it's actually encouraged now, and there's not going to be any repercussions to harness this power and use it as much as you in any way you want. Make an OnlyFans, right? Get an abortion, do whatever you want. It's fine. You now have all this power, and there's no consequences for using it improperly. Whew, yikes! Right? You can look at history and look what happens when men use the power they have and they use it irresponsibly, right? They face the consequences. Women are not built to do that. They're not built to face the consequences, right? And that's not even a bad thing. That's not really how things are supposed to be structured, to be quite honest. So it's like that's why this is a different things feel so different now, because this is an unprecedented time, because it's really the first time in history where women have been given the full right to do not just what they want but also no consequences as well. um, and how that's then trickled down into men kind of have split and being like, look, I'm just trying to get enough for my plate and my plate alone, I'll do whatever, and I'll do whatever it takes to get just as much as I need, and then then I'm good. And look, I don't hear what I'm not saying. Like, um, I I think it's nothing. This isn't even a criticism of women at all. It's really of men. It's not of women at all. I think all women are beautiful angels. I love them all, and they're amazing. Even even the mean ones. No, but seriously, like that's this is not an indictment of women at all. It's just like it's just human nature, you know. You have power, and so no one's going to hold you accountable. You'll use it improperly. That's not. That's this is Men have been doing that since the beginning of time, and women are just starting to do that, not just on an individual basis, but in terms of like how society is structured. It's revolving around that, and none of the men are doing anything to stop it. Really, at least any of the men with any power, and the ones that have influenced the younger generations the most, right? They're either like just red pill guys who really are just showing you how to, like, they're just giving you really good prayers to say in the temple of the pink palace to get as much of it as you can for yourself, right? um with some truths and some lies sprinkled in there, right, to make as much money as possible, or they get shot. um get killed. um uh and It's, yeah, so we're really at a point now where even the people who think they've broken out past the conditioning, they're doing all the same thing for the same means that the people who are just beginning are doing it for too. So it's like it's just the same thing with extra steps. And who cares if you're getting more of something or less of something? It's all about your intentions. What are your intentions? You're being really nice to try to take from this woman, right? To try to get something from her. Spiritually, to try to like take pleasure from her body and take it and keep it for yourself, right? Or you're like putting on this whole facade and you have like an Instagram page, or you got, maybe you you live in a studio apartment but you drive a Porsche. There are people that do that. Or like you present a certain way, or you just like start talking a certain way, or you read enough books and learn enough lingo where it's like, or maybe just build enough baseline confidence to not be like totally like taken aback by the presence of good looking women, so then you can at least like handle your own. But you're at the end of the day, like if like if a switch flipped and the way to get pussy was just to be like, you know was to like, grovel at their feet and grab their ankles, the red pill guys would probably do that shit too. That the actual foundation of self-worth is not really there. It still comes from it still comes externally from women, right? Same as the blue pill guy. So the blue pill and the red pill are the same, right? So I'm saying take those, crush them up, and snort the purple, man. Like, fuck all of it. Fuck all of it, right? To think that it's like, oh, you gotta take the red pill. It's like, you don't gotta take any pill, right? Now to take you can go whatever route you want. Now my suggested route personally is, if you want, you can watch a lot of Patrice O'Neill on this. He talks about this between the vulgarities and between the bits and everything. He talks a lot about pursuing these things righteously. Now, a lot of this stuff, then past this point, it really does start to get rooted in faith. If you're trying to truly be righteous, like, you can't deem that yourself. Like, you have to then get into like, what are your intentions, or like, what are you actually serving if you're not going to serve the pink palace? And it's like, well, you're going to serve yourself and be a narcissist, or what are you going to put your faith into? Like, the red pillars and the blue pillars all put their faith into pussy, into the pink palace, and everybody puts their faith into something, right? It's like, well, if you put your faith into God and you align yourself that way, then you can be righteous through God, through Jesus being in you, right? And being in the presence of God in that way. But it's not even your own doing, right? It's not your own doing at all. It's actually it's by dying and being reborn with the Spirit inside of you. But that's like a deeper conversation, and I want to keep this. I don't want to keep this these conversations in a vacuum of theology or scripture discussion. I think it's important to relate those topics to to what's going on, and keep it culturally consistent with like the context of this time, but yeah, everything goes back to that. These are my personal beliefs, um, but yeah, what are your intentions behind this pursuit, right? And I'm somebody that's had to come to terms with the fact that for years I tried many different ways. Joe Rogan has a great bit about this, like a octopus trying to like fit its way through a keyhole. It's like there's gotta be a fucking way. Like I was that octopus being like, how? Okay, I try this, I try this, I'll try this, boom, 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 and I found a rhythm that I'm not saying I was out here, crushing by any means, but I'd gotten to a point where like the energy I was putting into it and the reward I was receiving out of it was the ratio I was very happy with, and I was like, this is perfect. And then life happens and you meet certain people and you start to kind of reconsider how you approach all this and what your intentions are behind the things you're doing. If you want to read whether you're religious or not, I don't care. If you want to read a really good story about intentions, go read Luke 15, Prodigal Son. It's like it's my favorite story, chapter, whatever part from the Bible, hands down. Um, but it's really good, worth reading for anybody. Luke 15. Learn about intentions. What are your intentions behind staying in the blue pill, behind being a baby? What are your intentions? What are your intentions behind being a red pilled alpha gauge? Right? Uh, and I'm not saying being this or that is necessarily good or bad. It all comes down to your intentions. You can have two people who live exactly the same lives, but their heart posture, their intentions behind what they seek and what they pursue, right? Does that actually align with the way that they live or the things that they preach? Like if a red pill guy's preaching like, oh yeah, like being in your masculine and like self-discovery and building your frame and everything, but you're doing that and your number one priority for doing that is for pussy, those things don't, the math doesn't check out there. So it's just it's a it's a deep it's a lie with multiple layers to it. It's and it's at least the blue pill is the big like, it's so funny every time I say it. At least the blue pilled people, they're just like, oh yeah, I want to be nice to girls so they feel comfortable around me so I can have sex with them. Like that's pretty much what it is, which is pretty cringe. And do not, don't trust guys who are like that. By the way, I don't really trust guys that are like that. It's way too obvious. But but yeah, what are your intentions behind the taking this red pill, behind taking this blue pill, but behind taking the purple pill? Are you doing it because that you think that's the next cool new thing? Are you doing that because the red pill hasn't worked for you and you're like, the purple pill might give me pussy? I don't know. Why are you taking that? What are your intentions behind that? It's an important question to ask. But the reason I'm saying all this goes back to what I opened with, which is be careful with the the blue pill, obvious, but the red pill is that's a long road that is a dead end that you will have to retrace your steps on, right? And the longer the road, the longer it goes before you realize it's a dead end, the worse it is, because that means the longer that walk is back to the starting point, that walk of shame back. So if you're gonna hit a dead end, it's best you just hit it real quick at the beginning. You don't want to be fooled into thinking the path you're taking is gonna take you all the way to the end, right? But I'm saying, and I think this purple pill, whatever I'm kind of just spouting here, spitballing, it's not even really. I'm not saying it's this or that. I'm not saying it's a combination of both. All I'm saying is that it make it make it your own. Make it your own. And have the right things at the center of it, and be honest about what the intentions are behind going whatever route you are going to take. You know. And if if you don't know what they are yet, you're still in a process of self-discovery, which we all really are at the end of the day. But if your intention behind going snorting the purple line is simply just because you don't want to be told what to do, or you just want to go a route that you want to find for yourself, that is a righteous intention. That is a righteous intention. And we'll get into the process of that. That's the type of decision that will lead to individuation and integration, right? True discovery, right? But I'm not gonna go into all of that yet. But seriously, people are giving you, and I talked a lot about blue pill, red pill in terms of like the classic dating stuff. But anything, if they're giving you this or that, ones and zeros, don't ever let what somebody else presents you limit what you believe your options to be. Take a peek behind the curtain. Step over, um, you know, step onto the other side of the as Elisha Long would say, step over the other side of the caution tape. And yeah, have faith in that and have the confidence, conviction to make a decision like that in the first place, and then figure out, and then trust yourself to learn. Have faith to learn along the way that you will.